do you think if we get good enough, and by we, I really mean me and JSB, not you necessarily.
Sorry.
But like,
I didn't see a green check mark Myers.
No. I saw this.
So
but
close.
Like, if JSB and I get good enough, do you think we could bankrupt BetMGM?
Maybe. Especially with those $1,000 free bets that you're delivering door dashing.
free bets.
I did. I put
I
put in my Barry code yesterday when I signed up.
Yes. There you go.
And I also
one
have
on the board.
so I got that one right there with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but I will have to say hand up. I did not have Derek Carr plus 5,000 for first touchdown score. So,
that's all right.
Yeah, I got honesty
first
here on the
score.
show.
Yeah, first touchdown
I
score.
love first down touchdown scores for that kind of money. They usually never pay off. That's why they're plus.
That's why they're plus 5,000. That's how that works.
Under Renfro, you were very close though on that one.
Oh, it was nice that they let me stay in it until the literal last play they ran, where he ran into Davante Adams. That the ball was definitely going his way.
Might have known what was going on.
Yeah, no, it was great. Lovely. Had a great time.
When Waller went out, I thought, I was like, this is done. You got it.
Yeah.
You got it. And then they're moving the ball, and then,
And then Renfro played, I think, 26, basically half their snaps.
Yeah.
So,
what are you going to do?
You know, you win some, you lose some.
You do.
Yeah, okay,
I mean,
so
in this
lose
case,
a lot.
we win some.
Yes,
and
I lose all of them.
There you go.
I want you guys to look good.
My $5 won,
I'm a team player. I'm
Okay,
like the offensive line of the show.
There you go.
No credit in the box score, but all the credit on the field.
100%.
Doing all the work.
Yeah.
But when you look at this, when you look at Hunter Renfro, and now they're on a bye, we're not sure about the status of Darren Waller and also Davante Adams.
Well, we should mention that.
So let's discuss this.
Right. So we mentioned Davante Adams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Brandon Cooks, Hunter Renfro are all on a bye this week, so chances are you're looking for a pass catcher. Worth noting that on his way out of the game, Davante Adams shoved, it would appear to be a cameraman. And so a fan took a video of it. It's gone viral. And so news reporting out this morning that the league is looking into it. We see the video right here. This shoves the guy. There's actually been a police report filed as well. That news is just in here. But regardless,
and Davante apologized on Twitter. I don't know how that works in the police report.
Yeah, I mean, I assume the guy would have to press charges, whatever. What am I, a lawyer? Like, I'm barely a fantasy analyst. But the fact is, what I think is important here is that there is a chance that he gets suspended. Because the NFL does not want its players shoving people, walking off the field and shoving people that are there to do his job. Like that guy is there to do a job, which is he's been hired by somebody and he has clearance, obviously, I assume, to be on the field and to take, videos or photos and, and moment of anger for Adams after a very tough loss, and he shoves him out of the way. And so, pretty hard shove as you saw. And so the point is that there is a chance that you're definitely going to be without Davante Adams this week. There's a chance there may be another week or two coming down the pike if you have Adams on your roster. Just something to be aware of, and we'll follow that news closely to see if he does get it suspended.
Harder shove than the roughing the passer penalty last night.
It was more just like
by far.
It depends how much force you get. Like, if that guy was a bigger guy, that wouldn't maybe have happened.
Are you body shaming the cameraman right
I'm just
now?
saying,
to get your weight up to the cameraman?
Exactly.
Good
Come
Lord.
on, dude. Like,
you bounce
have a
off a ball.
Get a good
lift in.
center
Give
of
him a
balance.
protein shake.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Like,
need a brace
hit the
for
weight
it.
room, cameraman.
Yeah.
JSB out.
It could have prevented it.
Right, exactly. We
himself.
like our cameraman on our. I just want Julie, God bless cameraman.
I love when you get like Julie. I'm like,
what are you doing?
What's he got?
I just want all the cameramen, the people that have to are using equipment to make me look presentable to a national television audience, which is no easy feat, Connor Rogers.
That's a lot of work.
And so I just want you to know that the actions and words of Julie Stewart-Binks do not reflect.
I'm also a camera operator.
The words and feelings or the opinions
of
the Fantasy Football Happy Hour,
maybe
myself,
Davante
NBC,
Adams
or
didn't
Peacock.
necessarily know what he was pushing. Like, sometimes like, oh, whoa, I didn't realize that door was open already. And you kind of like stumble through.
You should
Good lawyering.
You should not be a lawyer. You should not be a lawyer.
He didn't know what he was pushing.
Check. Okay, back to the waiver
bad lawyering.
Two people that are not lawyers apparently on Fantasy Football Happy Hour.
Davante Adams just got found guilty based on that.
Yes.
Okay, just so
He's
we're
out for
clear.
the season.
I was a
Thanks to
camera
Julie.
operator at the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, and I had to run out, also the reporter, but run out onto the fields, like by baseball players who were not going to push me. But like there were times where I almost had a lot of collisions. So I also,
I know, and yet here you are, you're body shaming this poor guy. Just because he's not,
let's not have that be the
he can't
headline
take a
of
hit
this
the way
show.
you can, apparently.
Maybe you should play some hockey. Okay,
We are off
waiver
the
wire.
highway.
We are off the highway. Let's get back on Hunter Renfrow, we were wondering about him in this, and we're going to move on from that right now, but we're not necessarily sure what's going to happen with the Raiders in terms of those different things. But we know the Patriots, Jacoby Myers, he's been leading the Patriots air attack across the board, team high in receptions. This is a guy that you feel confident about going forward. You know,
it's surprising. We talked about him yesterday on the show as well after his big game, and I think, you know, now that week 5 is done, Jacoby Myers, on a points per game basis, is the 8th best wide receiver in fantasy.
It's insane.
I mean, which is kind of crazy. He's averaging over 17 fantasy points per game. He's available in 52% of Yahoo leagues. Browns, Bears, Jets, Colts are the next 4 for the Patriots. And so whether it is Mac Jones or Bailey Zappi under center, looks like it's probably going to be Bailey Zappi next week. Doesn't feel like Mac Jones is that close to returning. But either way, as you see it here on your screen, he's getting a lot of targets, 6, 13, 8 in the 3 games he's played so far this year. He got into the end zone last week, which is something that he, for the longest time, wasn't able to do. He's 3rd in yards per route run over the last 3 weeks. Played a season high offensive, 95% of played a season high in offensive snaps in week 5, I should say. Over 60 yards in 3 straight games. It's still a run-first offense, but Myers is such a floor play. Wide receiver 8's a little surprising. I don't think he's that. But do I think he should be available in 55% or 52%, whatever it is, of Yahoo leagues? No. He needs to be rostered in all of them.
Yeah, it's really quite amazing how we were staying away from New England's offense, and now we're all over them. I mean,
I wouldn't say all over them. One guy. The running backs and one guy.
Yes,
toes in the water.
Stevenson and one guy.
Yeah.
Okay, so
toes
another guy.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Maybe
socks off. That's it.
Do you have your toe in the water for
Butt in the sand?
Alec Pearson?
There we go.
Maybe.
Alec Pearson.
For Indianapolis?
You know what? I do. I'll even go ankles in the water for this one. Alec Pearson, listen, somebody in Indianapolis has to help out Matt Ryan, and Matt Ryan needs to help out himself. But they drafted Alec Pearson in the 2nd round with expectations that he could be their wide receiver 2 this year across from Michael Pittman. It's funny to watch how he's been brought into the offense, not as this vertical jump ball threat, but more as this possession guy, which was not expected. But I think the breakout is slowly ramping up here. You've seen 60 yards in 3 straight games. He's obviously coming off a season high in targets with 8 and yards over 80. So I look at Alec Pearson. He's somebody that I would definitely, if you need wide receiver help, especially in half point or PPR format, he's going to get his because the targets are there. I think he's looking at 7 to 10 targets a week going forward for a team that consistently keeps playing behind.
Right, he's developing rapport with Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan said he's strong, he's resilient. You like to hear that from your quarterback in terms of trust going forward.
You like to hear that from a lot of people. Like,
yes.
just like I like to hear it from my cameraman.
Tough and
resilient.
They're
strong. Our cameramen are strong.
Beat me up.
They're resilient. They can take a hit.
They can absorb the hit.
They can absorb a hit. Yeah, 1,000% here.
Very much the same thing.
Totally. And the other last thing I'll say on Alec Pierce is just like to the eye test. Like, kid can play.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean,
great athlete.
You just watch the game and you're just like,
well,
kid can play.
that was why he was their top pick this past year. Now the Cardinals, Matthew, Rondale Moore. They're up against Seattle.
Yeah.
Again, same story as Benjamin. 82% available. Would you go for him?
I like Rondale Moore. Like, do you wish there was some deeper stuff? I mean, his average depth of target, I think, is -5 yards. I mean, something, jokes, but like seriously, like it's all line of scrimmage stuff. It's all like bubble screens. But it is worth noting, Cardinals do lead the NFL in pass attempts so far this season. He's had 2 games since he's come back, 10 receptions, 13 targets there. So they're immediately putting him back into the offense. Nice matchup this week with the Seahawks, who give up the 8th most passing yards per game this season. Arizona can't stop anyone as well. So Rondale Moore, who we came into the season with high expectations for, Cliff Kingsbury talking him up in the offseason. AJ Green appears to be just basically done. We got at least 1 more week before DeAndre Hopkins comes back. But I do think that once Hopkins is back, I feel bad for the human Dortch, but I do think it's going to be Hollywood Brown, it's going to be DeAndre Hopkins, and it's going to be Rondale Moore in the slot. I think. And they go 3 wide quite a bit in Arizona. They also go 4 wide quite a bit. So the snap should be there for Rondale Moore. I like him a lot. Yes, he's our 3rd pick after Myers and Alec Pierce.
Okay, so for the Bills, and we look at if the snaps are there for a guy like Khalil Shakir. So 3 of 5 targets, 75 yards, touchdown. Crowder out, even if McKenzie is out. Can he garner any kind of relevance against Kansas City?
He absolutely can, but it just depends on if Isaiah McKenzie remains in concussion protocol. That's what this comes down to, because Khalil Shakur's a very talented player, talented rookie, and he can do a lot of different things. He can handle the slot for you. He can win over the middle of the field. Considering his size, he's got jump ball ability. I just think that the opportunity is not going to be there unless Isaiah McKenzie is hurt. So this is a wait and see. I would have him pretty low on the priority of waiver claims at the moment.
It gets, for me, it gets pretty ugly after those three guys. No, Meyers, Pearson, Rondell Moore, and then you got to sort of squint. And again, if McKenzie and we know Crowder's going to be out. If McKenzie were to miss again, then maybe in what should be a shootout against the Chiefs, sure, you can sort of see it. But, again, And
then they have the bye. So what?
I mean,
so
he got 5 targets.
Streaming
you know what I mean?
but
he had the touchdown, he had the one big play. But, yeah, I'm with you. I feel the same way about the next guy, Connor, which is Randall Cobb.
Yeah.
13 targets in Week 5, but he had 12 total targets on the season prior to that. Feels like sort of just an outlier game, right? Had a nice game against the Giants, but I feel like give me Romeo Doubs, give me Alan Lazard. Feels like he's honestly 4th or 5th in the pecking order in the Green Bay passing attack when you include the running backs. Even Bob Tunyon. Big Bob Tunyon, I think, has more touchdown equity than Randall Cobb. So nice story, mentioning him here just because he did get the 13 targets.
London games was, though, a little bit of a doozy. But also the fact that, this was Aaron Rodgers' security blanket, essentially.
Yeah.
Reuniting again, not necessarily sure.
I'm just
same.
It's a very balanced offense, and so we have yet to see Lazard and Dobbs put up consistent fantasy numbers. I certainly prefer both those guys. I think there's upside with both those guys, with Dobbs and Lazard, that I'm not sure is there yet with Randall Cobb. So mentioning him just to sort of say, if you need a warm body, he's there, and they do play the Jets this week. So, that's, he's potentially usable in a week in which it's going to be, your 4 teams are going to be out, right? But other than that, I just sort of feel like, I'll mention, by the way, if you need sort of a 1-week streamer, I will mention that I don't think Jahan Dotson is going to be back for this Thursday's game against the Bears. So for the Commanders, listen, he didn't play a ton of snaps, but he had some obviously big playability. Two great big touchdowns for the Commanders. I think they are going to have to throw against Chicago. So if you're desperate, I think Diami Brown could be a viable 1-week streamer this week.
Yes, he's 100% available, so that indicates a lot about him at that moment. Stash candidates, though, for wide receivers, and we look at a couple different guys here. Matthew and Connor, Jameson Williams, Sky Moore, Wan'Dale Robinson.
Well, I'll take Wan'Dale Robinson, and then, Connor, you should talk up Jameson Williams here. But on Wan'Dale Robinson, look, this team is 4-1, and Wan'Dale Robinson is somebody that we've talked about a lot in the preseason. They like him a lot. He got hurt in Week 1. We haven't seen him since, but just remember, this is the guy that Brian Daboll and that Giants organization went out and drafted. Everyone else they've sort of just inherited, and so the Giants keep getting by sort of hook and by crook, and they're sort of, other than Barkley, there's not a lot to write home about. They're doing end reverses for Daniel Bellinger. It is really smoke and mirrors there in New York. But I do, Wan'Dale Robinson, who will play the slot, I do think he's an interesting guy, especially for the second half of the year. I'm high on his potential and his ability.
If Jameson Williams is available in your league, which apparently 70% of them just about, you got to go get him. You got to go get him now, because a couple things besides his talent, which we know he has game-breaking speed. They traded up very far with a division rival in Minnesota to go get Jameson Williams, so they paid that kind of price to get him. He's expected to be back 2 weeks after Detroit's bye, so he will play this year. This is a defense that cannot stop anybody. I know they had a tough week. It's an anomaly. They're not going to be shut out again like that against a New England team that was ready for them. They're banged up. Jameson Williams is going to have a huge role in this offense with Jared Goff, and it's going to start as soon as he returns.
Okay, so other potential drops, though, now
Welcome to Dumpsville, Population U.
And this is a guy that you have been... when you go on Twitter and you see all the old tweets that have somehow accumulated, I just had one day where it was just all your tweets about Allen Robinson.
Thanks.
That was just you were so upset, rightfully so, about Allen Robinson.
I had to atone for him last week, right? I asked and answered. I have fully fallen on the sword about Allen Robinson. For the year, Allen Robinson is wide receiver 76. Richie James has more fantasy points than him.
Right? I mean,
Chris Godwin has played only 3 games. He has more fantasy points than him. He's got he's averaging under 6 fantasy points a game this season. He's had under 25 yards in 4 out of 5 games, 2 or fewer catches in 3 of 5 games. Yeah, let me put it this way. I'm in a 16-team league. There's no one available in a 16-team league. I'm still dropping Allen Robinson just to.
He's shown you what he is. I mean, he had a good camp, but then he's done nothing since.
Nothing. Wide receiver 76. Like, people are like, I can't drop Allen Robinson.
Yes, you can.
You can drop the 76th best wide receiver in fantasy after 5 weeks. You sure absolutely can. And Robert Woods, I love Bobby Trees, but the truth of the matter is he hasn't had more than 4 catches in any game so far this year. He's been under 40 yards in 4 of the 5 games so far this year. If you can't get it done against my Commanders defense, which is brutal, just makes me question whether you're going to be able to have any kind of consistent fantasy value. The other thing with Woods is that he should be a floor play because the ceiling isn't there. He's not going to have these monster games the way that like Jamar Chase could. But the problem is the floor has kind of fallen out as well.
I mean, they're handing the ball to Derrick Henry about 30 times a game is basically where it's heading in that direction, no matter his yards per carry, and that's going to impact Robert Woods as well.
You just never hear his name in a game.
No,
because he
sad.
is
Good player,
not getting the ball, unfortunately for him. All right, well, we have a whole lot more to get to, including quarterbacks and tight ends here on Waiver Wired, Fantasy Football Happy Hour with Matthew Berry, Connor Rogers.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBC Sports and RotoWorld.com. Just want to thank you so much for watching what you just watched, or at least being too lazy to click out of it after the autoplay just kept it going. So either way, thank you so much for just letting it scroll by your screen. And now I'd like to ask you respectfully, please subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel for the latest NFL news, fantasy headlines from RotoWorld, and betting analysis from NBC Sports Edge.